our working vocabulary. And when I say working vocabulary, I mean the things and the motions and the moves and steps that are really within reach and sort of in your muscle memory already. And I want to talk about the processes by which we can take things that are maybe moves that you learned once upon a time and don't really remember anymore, or new steps completely that you want to work into your body and into your brain and make them into something that feels comfortable. So I have a few methods and experiments that I want to present to you as sort of ways that you can go about attacking this problem. How do I get a new step or remember an old step and work it into my working vocabulary? So first we're going to start with a warm-up, and we'll get our body ready to move, and of course at the end of that warm-up, if there's anything that's asking for a little bit more attention, stretch it out, move it, pause the video, and then come back when you're ready to groove. But we're going to warm up to a nice song here, working head to toe, waking up the body, and getting ready to dance. Starting with the head, looking up and down. More or less warmed up, we're going to move on to more of a brain warm-up. But go ahead and keep stretching and moving as we do this. So this exercise is going to require a pen and a piece of paper, something to write with, and if those aren't readily available, go ahead and pause this video while you go find them. But if they are, go ahead and start writing down every single jazz step that you know, all of them. Even if there's something that you really don't know how to do, write them down. If you know the name, write them down. And once you kind of find you've come to the end of your rope, you really can't think of any more, start at the top again and then underline the steps that you can do. Maybe they might take a little bit of remembering, you might need to really think about it for a minute, but underline every step that you can do. And then start back over once you've run out of things to underline, and circle, big and bold, the steps that are in your working vocabulary. They're in your muscles, they're in your toes, they're in your body, and these are steps that you sort of have a habit of doing. And these are the steps that are kind of your home base, cozy, familiar steps. So the point of that exercise, and I would encourage you to keep adding to that list and have it be something that can change over time, because of course it will. You'll learn new steps, you'll remember old steps. The ones that are circled might change and shift and get bigger and get smaller. That's how our brains work. They're never stagnant, they never stay in the same place. So as you move forward and you're maybe looking for things to add to your working vocabulary, just having a list where you can see what are the patterns of moves that I tend to like, what are the patterns in the moves that I just do all the time, and from that information you can decide, do I want to contrast it, do I want to keep the same theme? If I have so many moves that like stay down really low, do I want to learn some moves that have use more upper body space, or maybe I want to keep that theme of lowness. This information can help you kind of find your way and forge your own path in the way that you want to go through building your working vocabulary and changing it, because it will be a continuously changing thing. But I want to talk about how we change it and how something goes from being somewhere on that list, maybe underlined, maybe not, to being a circled part, something of that working vocabulary. And the first way that I want to suggest that you explore a step that you want to add to that working vocabulary is maybe a step, or an exercise that we've done before in these dance labs, but do that step for a whole song. Do nothing but that step. Stretch it, make it slower, make it small, make it big. Really stretch it in every way that you can, in shape, in rhythm. Make it crazy and really find the upper and lower bounds of that step. Dance it until it doesn't feel like it's that step anymore, and then you know where the boundary is. You know for yourself what feels like, for example, a Susie cue, and when it no longer feels like a Susie cue. And in this way you find what kind of the elements are, like the very bare bones of what that step needs to be that step. But you'll also find out how versatile it can be and how it feels in your own body. Because of course, as I often say, everyone will dance differently, and that is what we want. And if you don't have some of you in the step, then what is the step but just a step? So I'm going to put on a song. Pick a move from your list that you'd like to add to your working vocabulary. Today I'm going to be working with Susie cues. I like this step a lot, and I would really like to be doing it more because I think it's a really versatile step. So I'm going to dance Susie cues for an entire song. You can either pick Susie cues or pick a step from your list. And if you are kind of struggling for a dance move that you are familiar enough with to do for a whole song, I have a kind of mini library of steps at the end of this video. So you can skip to the end and kind of scroll through and see if there's a step in there that you'd like to learn and then do some of these exercises with. I'll leave a timestamp in the description below. But for now, I'm going to do Susie cues for a whole song. Whatever step you'll do for a whole song, we're going to dance it out and find what the upper and lower bounds are for this wonderful step. Doing a whole song of just one move can be really, really useful for me personally, just finding all of the ways that I could possibly do this step. It kind of expands the spectrum, the paint on my palette suddenly feels a little bit more useful. So I would really encourage you to do this with either a step that is brand new to you or with a step that feels like it's maybe a little dusty, something that you learned once upon a time and don't really remember that much. So this is a really nice way to find the way that you put your own flavor to the step. So with that, I want to move on to my second method, which is to learn it on the left foot. Depending on the step, that might be kind of par for the course. Maybe it just kind of comes naturally. Suzy cues are something that we often do on both sides. You start with the right foot crossing over, and then the left foot. And I would say that only knowing one direction of Suzy cues would feel pretty limiting to me. And some steps maybe don't have as common of a left variation, but I find that learning things on the left just uses more of your brain. More of your brain is storing that information, so it just becomes a little easier to find. So I would really encourage you to learn whatever step you want to learn on the left foot. I think just going through the process of figuring it out on the left really kind of kicks your brain into learning mode. And then the step A kind of feels new again, which can be exciting. But like I said, it just ends up being stored in more places in your brain, and the more of your body that's incorporated into dancing the move, the better. Another method that I would highly recommend is to take your step and research it. Find out maybe more of the history, and definitely look into particularly old historical clips, but even clips of modern dancers, and see if you can just kind of go on a hunt for this move. Look and see and observe as many people doing this step as you can, and you can find so much inspiration by just watching other people do the same step that you're trying to incorporate into your working vocabulary. So YouTube is a wonderful resource for finding video inspiration, and I really think that watching people dance with a sort of learning eye, watching and really studying how they're doing the step. You know, with videos you can pause and rewind and watch again. But even if you're not, watching a video, if you're out social dancing, you can watch people on the dance floor and kind of hunt for this step that you've been trying out. And you might find that it's more common than you might think. And you might find that you found a variation that someone does that you really, really love, that you want to incorporate into your own dancing. So going on sort of a move investigation or a move hunt is quite fun and quite inspirational. And I would really encourage you to also kind of keep track of those videos that you found particularly inspiring. Just keep a list somewhere, maybe in a note somewhere on your computer, and have those kind of readily available if you're kind of maybe finding some inspiration to practice, but not quite sure how to start. Looking at a clip is a great way to kind of kickstart some motivation and give you some easy direction. I'm gonna learn how this person does this step. So go on a move hunt and find it in all of the ways that you can, with as many different bodies dancing that step as you can. And the very last method that I want to present to you is finding red threads, sort of connecting the dots between one move and another. So I would suggest to you to look at that list that you made, look at all of the circled steps, and find all of the ways that those steps could possibly connect to this new step that you want. So for me, I know that a step that I just do all the time right now is tachyanis. So I want to think about how can tachyanis and Suzy cues connect to each other? What do they have in common? So tachyanis are often low, so are Suzy cues. Annies have something happening on every beat. And 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And so do Suzy Q's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you can also think about how they're different, but I find those commonalities that moves share can kind of help you think about how that move could transition into one or the other. So now that I've got some commonalities, you know, they both have something happening on every beat, which is nice because then I could maybe transition from one to the other even in the same 8 count. I don't even have to kind of finish the step, I could just hop right into it. And they also have that aesthetic of being low. So they might go very nicely together. So I might try out some tacky Annies and see what's one way that I could go from a tacky Annie into a Suzy Q. And then vice versa, how could I go to a Suzy Q to a tacky Annie? And keep exploring that combination for a little while. And I can do that with each step that's in my working vocabulary, and then suddenly I have so many ideas of where I can put a Suzy Q, because once you start finding the red threads, they start appearing everywhere. So I would really recommend looking through your working vocabulary list and kind of, you know, these are steps that are probably quite familiar to you, so you can have somewhat of an idea of what the general theme of your working vocabulary is, and you'll find that those red threads are truly everywhere. If you have a lot of low moves, you'll you know, find that low red thread will lead to other red threads. You know, maybe it has a similar shoulder move that you enjoy, and you can do it in both moves. They don't have to be necessarily concrete, necessary red threads. They can be red threads between the way that you simply like to move. You know, you like to hold your shoulders in one way during Suzy Q's. Hey, 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 hey. Where's another place that you like to hold your shoulders? Maybe during TikTok. And I can think about how I can transition from that move to the other, using that red thread as sort of my safety line, my guiding line even, to how I can do that and how they can go together. So those are 4 different methods that you can use to incorporate slowly some new vocabulary into your working vocabulary and slowly expand it. And I also want to give the sort of caveat that your working vocabulary will change over time, and it is okay for things to leave that circle. So sometimes steps might just kind of fall out of favor for a little while, and that's okay. Your working vocabulary can grow, it can shrink, it can incorporate some new steps. It might shift completely and you really get into some crazy Charleston steps, and then maybe some other steps just kind of fall out of fashion for a little while for you. But you can always come back to them, and this method of adding things will both change your working vocabulary, but it can also be used to reincorporate things. So it's truly useful for both new information and re-remembering and reincorporating old information. The next section of the video is going to be a short library of steps that I'll do facing you, facing to the side and facing away from the camera, just like I do when I'm normally teaching a step. So if that is a useful resource to you, use that to maybe find a step that you want to learn or review and add it to your working vocabulary using some of these methods. But if you've already got plenty of steps that you are in your brain that you really want to add to your working vocabulary, then I just want to thank you for joining me for this dance lab. I really enjoy talking about methods of learning and kind of cognitive processes, so I'm really glad that you stuck around till this point. And until next month, I hope you take care, and I'll see you next month for another dance lab. Meant to help students who want to learn a new step and incorporate it into their working vocabulary. This is by no means an exhaustive list, but I have linked to some more extensive and in-depth resources in the description below. So if you're looking to really get an in-depth view of how vast the jazz step world is, I would highly recommend checking those out. These steps are roughly listed from less complex to more complex. And when I say complex, I mean how many elements does this step have? So more or less it's going to be from short moves to long moves. Not necessarily from easy to difficult, just more or less in their complexity and length. So I'll be showing the moves facing you, facing the side, and facing away so that you get a 360 view. And then if you are looking to really practice this move, rewinding and even using the slow motion YouTube function is a great tool for learning a new step. So here we go. A 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. A 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. One, 3, 5, 7. 1, 3, 5, 7. 1, 3, 5, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. Touch, touch, step. Touch, touch, step. 8 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 5, 6 and 7. Kick, ball, change, kick, ball, change, kick, ball, change, kick, ball, change, kick, hit, hang, up. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. Side step, cross, side step, cross. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. And 8. 1, 3, 5, 7, 8. 1, 3, 5, 7, 8. Touch, 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 step, ball change. 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, 8. Kick, slide, jump, run, run. Kick, slide, jump, run, run. 8, 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 5, 7. Out, prep, kick together. Out, prep, kick together. Out. 8 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 5, 6 and 7. Kick, ball change, 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 kick, ball change. 8 and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What was I supposed to say? Over-explaining, don't need to do that. Okay, and I've got a blister. No.